the time to come out and be concerned about what's going to happen today. Again, my name is Chris Heaven, and I'm going to be the moderator today, and this is Diana Dahmer, who's keeping the time, which is very helpful. I just want to remind everyone that the purpose of today's event is to provide voters with clear, respectful, and informative dialogue to help them make confident decisions. We ask that the audience remain silent as the candidates are speaking to ensure that they can be heard by all. I'd like to ask the audience now to finish up any questions that you might have to submit to us at this time. All questions should be directed to all candidates and focus on qualifications, ideas, and vision, not personal matters or individual criticism. If the audience has direct questions for one or more of the candidates individually, they will have an opportunity during open networking to do so. I would like to inform the audience that we will start with questions previously submitted. Each new question will start with a new candidate. The other candidates will follow. When all questions have been asked, we will give the floor to each candidate for up to 5 minutes to discuss their platform and what they would like to accomplish over the next 4 years if elected. Other candidates will have an opportunity to ask questions of the candidates whom is speaking, should they choose to do so. When all candidates have spoken, we will conclude with open networking for less formal conversations. Each candidate will introduce themselves by name. And we'll start with you.
Good morning, my name is Lynn Sylvain.
My name is Nathan Bolton.
My name is Patrick Nagel.
I'm Doug Gray.
Thank you. Are there any questions right now that need to be submitted to me before we get started from the audience? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, we will start with the first question. And we're going to start with you, Lynn. Our local school, Otsego, is integral to Grand Rapids. No new local tax money has been collected for 20 years for the school. Would you support a new levy for our schools if one was requested?
It's interesting because that's a personal choice, not a choice of the council, but I'll answer the question. I think in my entire voting history, except for one occasion, I voted for every school levy that's come in front of me because I think education is vitally important. In this particular one, there's not one on the ballot that I'm aware of. If there was one, I'd want to know what it was for, what they're going to use the money for, and how do we compare with local communities before I would definitively say yes or no. I'm also retired this year, which makes me say no new taxes for anything right now, please. So I'm getting used to and settling into that as well. But my history has been always supported a school tax. I don't think we have enough information for me personally, and it doesn't affect my position on council.
Nate?
Absolutely. I think voting for schools are critical in society. Bringing up a new generation of young people that are prepared to go out in the world after they graduate, it's absolutely vital that we provide them with the tools and the resources necessary to do that. I'm supporting the levy. It doesn't, like I said, like Lynn said, it doesn't really pertain to us as council, but as individuals, I think it's important for us to support our schools. Absolutely.
I agree with the first two. I really don't have much extra to say on it. They pretty much covered everything I would say, but all the years that I've been voting, I've always supported the levies. I've lived in Sylvania, I've lived in Toledo, and it seems like there were plenty of levies for the schools almost annually, but we need to give our kids the tools and everything they need to be successful. And I've always voted yes for them. As far as the Otsego schools, as Lynn said, I don't know enough what they're asking for, and I don't even know if there is a levy. But I would support it, but I would need to get some more information as well.
I think it's interesting that they mentioned that no new money has been asked for or approved in 20 years. So my first question is, why is that? Is that because their funds are adequate right now and things are okay? Is because the levies have been up and been voted down? So again, it's not a blanket yes or no, because we've all probably voted on various various tax levies in our life. Maybe many we've been in favor of, but I doubt that anybody's, 100% across the board in favor of every levy. So more information is needed. And the one thing I will say, when there are, I follow various local pages like the Grand Rapids pages, and anytime a school levy goes down, they're like, oh, you must hate the schools. Well, voting no against a tax levy doesn't mean you hate the school. You may not agree with the way the taxes are being spent or the way the schools are funded. So each case has to be decided on its individual merits.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the next question, and I'm gonna start with Nate, and then I'm just gonna ask if any of you have anything to add to that, okay, instead of going through, okay. Nate, when will we get sidewalks on West Second, west of Beach Street?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, I will. When will we get sidewalks on West Second, west of Beach Street?
That's a good question. I would have thought that would have been something that would have been taken care of by now, but I will definitely look into it if I'm elected to council and find out what we can do to get sidewalks put in place there.
Does
I
anybody?
have a comment on that. That's a good question from a resident. It's not something they can answer because it's actually driven by a committee on council. And Rick Tolles, I think, is in charge of that committee. Rick Tolles is the one that should be held accountable for when the sidewalks are going in or not. I think everybody, I don't know about everybody, but a lot of people will say the sidewalks are in dire need of repair. We've been investing in it, $50,000 the first year I was in council, 75 just last year. I don't see a long-term plan for our sidewalks, which is what concerns me. Do we have enough money to have sidewalks on both sides of the street, or should we only have it on one? Are we choosing the right materials? What's our long-term investment on sidewalks? And that's something that the committee should be putting together, in my opinion.
Does anyone else have anything to answer?
If elected, I would walk through most of the neighborhood, if not all of them, and take notes of where I see we could use some repair. Just at my house, at Third and Beaver, there's some pretty bad sidewalks as well. But yeah, it's a committee that Rick Tolles is on, and I wouldn't mind being on that committee as well if elected.
Anyone? Doug?
Yeah, my opinion is that we should fix the existing sidewalks, repair those before we're worried about adding new ones. It's great if there's money in the budget for both, but I don't know that to be the case, so I would say the priority would be on improving the sidewalks that are already in place, especially if they're presenting a hazard.
Yeah, I'd also like to see us incorporate thoughts around bicycle and golf cart traffic while we're doing repairs.
All right, the next question, Pat, you'll start. Have you had the training for sunshine laws or are you familiar with it?
No, I do not. I had to defer that to my other people here. And of course, he gave me the hardest question I didn't know the answer to. I'm not familiar with sunshine laws.
Does anyone else have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I've read over them a couple different times. They're pretty straightforward, and they're a good resource to have as far as public officials working in collaboration with one another, with different organizations and entities in town. So, yeah, it's an interesting read.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with them, trained in them. David Fowler actually did the community of great service several years ago where he held training classes here in this building on sunshine laws. And it would benefit not only the council, but the residents to review those laws so that when you're watching a council meeting, you know whether it's being run appropriate and if their decisions are appropriate.
Yeah, it comes down to transparency and accountability, and I'm in favor of both those things, and I think most people should be, but anything that increases the opportunity for the residents to know what's going on in the town and at the meetings is a plus, in my opinion.
Next question, start with you, Doug. Have the candidates resided in the village for a sufficient period to develop an understanding of its honored traditions?
Well, I believe I have. I have lived here my entire life, but I've been a full-time resident for over 25 years now, and prior to that, I'm a riverite, if any of you know what that means. So I've camped out on the river further back than what my memories go. So this town has always been a part of my life. And I think my position is for somebody as someone who's been here for a long time, but isn't a lifelong resident, and remembers what it's like to move here from outside, I think that positions me as a good person to be a bridge between the new people and the longtime residents.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
I've only been here for a year and a half. I'm probably the newbie of all the candidates running. And what I bring to the table is a strong business sense, and I think we need that. I feel that I can bring some good qualities and talent to the committee, to the council. Even though I'm relatively new, I'm still learning an awful lot about who's who and the history of the village, history of people, relationships. So I'm still learning, but I think that I've got some good qualities for the council.
Chris and I moved here a little over 2.5 years ago. We've always enjoyed coming to Grand Rapids when we lived in Dashler. We've visited on several different occasions for the different community events, festivals, Fest, Christmas open house. We've always enjoyed this. That's why we decided to make it our home, and we've been very fortunate to have met a lot of very good people in town here, people that care about the community, people that care about the direction that the town's going in. We'd like to keep it going that way, and help revitalize the community, make it a place where there's a lot of new people want to actually move to. We're not looking to turn it into something like Waterville or Maumee, things like that. That's not my intention as a council person. What I am looking forward to do is to help maintain what we have here already, the natural resources, the canal area, the downtown, revitalize that, make it something that when people come to town, they look at it and they say, wow, this is an awesome place to visit. So that's kind of my goal, to keep the town.
Can I just dive in? Okay, so the question is, have you been here long enough in order to add value to the village? And there's a sense here that if you were born here, you're entitled. There's some entitlement to a council position or mayors, or your opinion matters more. And quite frankly, in my opinion, it does not. I've been here 25 years. I've earned the presumed entitlement. I don't deserve it. I bring with me a wealth of education and experience, as do these other people. Evaluate people and what they bring to the party, not how long they've sat in their chair, because some of them are quite stale. And we need new people in council, in my opinion.
Moving to the next part of this. Additionally, there has been limited participation by the council in certain Grand Rapids events, particularly the town hall. How will the candidates be supportive of the village's events?
So I am involved in the village events and have a whole list of things that I've tried to do for the village. I actually started on the town hall renovation committee and was part of the ones that wanted to put money aside. I'm the one that brought forth a structural assessment. It's one of the few things that I got passed for the town hall. I'm the one that wanted to put money aside for a long-term maintenance fund for the town hall. I'm the one that suggested a grant writing opportunity for the town hall. Is it just about town hall, the question?
That's what it says.
I think I wanted us to do financial reviews once a year at the town hall. I've asked multiple times. I asked John Berry about it. I asked Louise Easton about it. I want us to have a community annual review of what our financials are, and I want the community to be able to ask questions. I think it's important. I think it's critical, pivotal, that each one of you understand the line items. Each one of you know that we have $5 million that we're managing. Each one of you know how much is in the water fund or maintenance fund for the town hall, or that we've had money in the maintenance fund for the town hall and haven't spent it for years. I want each one of you to know that and ask us why. That's what I want.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
Ask the question.
Sure. Additionally, there has been limited participation by the council in certain Grand Rapids events, particularly the town hall? How will the candidates be supportive of the village's events?
Okay, I'm not so sure about the town hall portion of that, but I've been actively volunteering in a lot of the events. Just this past weekend at Apple Butter, we were in here, sold over 1,025 brats, 300 hot dogs, and, it was a great success. And the only people I saw from the current council out during Apple Butter, helping at all, was Lynn and Rick Tolles. As far as the other events, I rarely see any of the current council out supporting, and that's something I would do, is get very active and be part of town events.
Well, I can't speak specifically to the town hall committee because I haven't been involved in that endeavor, but other than that, I don't agree with the premise of the question. I see many of the village candidates out involved in helping out. The mayor was helping stir apple butter on Apple Butter Day. Many of them were there ahead of time helping in the prep work. And a lot of work goes unseen where these people are within the community and are helping to do things, whether it's setting up or tearing down. You may not always see them during the event, but it doesn't mean that they're not there and that they're not helping. So, no, I don't find that to be the case at all. During our Rally by the Bird weekend, I saw just about every council person at one time or another throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I saw quite a few out actually doing things, participating at the festival this year, and I've seen them, several of them at their events throughout the year. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. I don't think that's. What I'm trying to do is prospective council person is to get people involved. I think if you do that by being inviting and it generates an atmosphere to where you actually have younger people that actually want to come out and get involved. Or I've talked to a few younger people over the course of the last 6 months or so. I think a lot of them just don't know where to turn or how to approach the various committees and stuff to get involved in things. And I think as a council person, I think you need to get out there and actually be a promoter for your village and stuff and talk to people, talk to the young people and encourage them to get involved in various organizations in town here. We've got a ton of organizations that do a lot of good things in town here. And I think the more younger youth that you bring in, it benefits all of us. So that's kind of where I stand. My approach is on it.
Okay, the next question. Are you familiar with grant writing, help to get funding for many projects? And are you familiar with each of the businesses in town? Meaning, do you shop, eat, and visit, or promote them locally? And Nate, you need to go first.
Actually, when I was on the fire department in Grand Rapids, as a desk clerk, I was on the fire department for almost 20 years down there. I assisted with the grant writing process for several different pieces of equipment that we had, several new vehicles that we actually were able to purchase through state bid. So I am familiar with grant writing processes and how to approach things and what the grant committees tend to look for. I do like to shop locally in town here as much as I can. Christy likes to go to, my wife, she likes to shop in town here. We do visit the restaurants pretty frequently. As a matter of fact, we were at Knuckleheads last night for dinner. We've got a great resource in town here with local businesses and local restaurants and things like that. And I encourage everybody to visit them and patronize them. The times I know it can be hard for them, depending on what time of year it is and stuff, to keep their doors open, things like that, keep the revenue coming in. So, yeah, shop local.
Agreed. It's great that we've got a coffee shop now. I'm here every morning. Supporting Michelle and Weldon, great store. And as far as the restaurants go, I also dine locally as well. Pretty good selection there.
I do support the local businesses whenever possible, and yes, probably mainly the restaurants because I do like to dine out often. I am not familiar with grant writing, but I think that's something, oftentimes you hear people asking, they say they want to get involved, but they don't know who to talk to or where to go to. I think it would be a good idea to seek out people that do have experience with grant writing and ask them if they'd be willing to share their expertise.
I absolutely shop local, support all the local businesses. Most of my Christmas shopping comes from the local businesses. Um, And as far as grant writing, I was one that suggested grant writing for the town hall. I have grant writing in the strategy. I have in our, if we were to revisit the structure of the organization for the village, I have grant writing in there as well. And I've suggested either we hire a grant writer or outsource that service because there are so many grants that are available to us. As a council, we are not doing our job in finding federal, state, and local money that's available to us. And I have a list in which the other organizations, other communities local to us are utilizing. If you look at the Waterville strategy that they've written, they're utilizing the opportunities, the financial opportunities that are out there. And the only thing, I don't say the only thing, that what the council is doing currently is just utilizing our tax dollars, which I think there's much more opportunity out there.
Next question, we'll start with you, Pat. One of the beauties of our village is to honor and preserve the traditions that have been continuing for many years. How are you going to preserve the integrity of our village without changing it because change is inevitable, or that we need to go with modern times? Our village is based on settlers who moved in and beautified the community through the environment and annual events that have lasted for decades. How are you going to preserve this?
Good question for me. A year and a half ago, my wife and I moved into Grand Rapids into the Grand Kerr House, which is a 144-year-old home. And we have preserved the history of the home, even though the popular thing to do right now is paint wood and carpet and make everything modern. We've kept everything original. All the wood is still beautiful. As far as the traditions here, we've been coming to Grand Rapids for years for the apple butter and different events, and we absolutely love the small town charm. We're not going to attract a McDonald's. We're not going to attract a Meijer, a Walmart. You've got to have thousands of residents to do that. With only 900 people, these big corporations are not going to invest multiple millions of dollars to something like that where there's just not enough people to support it. So I don't ever see us getting big in corporate America. I think we're going to continue to stay small, but we need to get with the times and revitalize the community without bringing in the big businesses.
Does anyone have anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to talk to that, please. So one of the things you do in order to maintain the history and values of your community is to write a vision statement. And there's one in a draft of our strategic plan that says, provide a thriving, revitalized, historic village that supports a family-friendly community, business, and culturally rich environment. That's how you keep your values. That's how you keep everyone focused long-term on preserving what's important to us. I have asked for 4 years for us to write a vision statement, and it's not done yet. This is a draft of a vision statement, but this is how you keep people focused on it. And we're also landlocked. I don't know that there's anyone up here that wants us to grow, even buy more land. I think we moved here because of the quaint small town feel. I don't want to see McDonald's here. Unpopular as it is, I didn't want to see the Dollar Tree here. I think it serves a purpose in the community, I understand, but I would have rather had our local grocery store and our pharmacy and our hardware store rather than the Dollar Tree, because that doesn't benefit anyone. It benefits the resident that shop there for convenience, but it doesn't benefit a property owner or an owner of that business that lives here in this community. So I want this small town feel, and I think the way we preserve it, let's have a vision statement that's drafted by the community that says what's important to us, and let's publish it.
Yeah, as far as preserving the traditional events, I mean, using apple butter as an example and many other events that happened through the years, frankly, they seem to be doing pretty good. But for the long-term survivability. I think the important thing is to welcome in new people. Because a lot of these people that have been running these events for years and years are getting up there in age and they're not going to be around forever. And it's important that new people to town and younger people be brought into the fold. It's important that they be made welcome and that the people running these events, these long-term traditional events, are open to new ideas. Because nothing stays the same as it is. You know, that's stagnation is a recipe for decline. There has to be some growth. You know, there has to be some new things coming, and not everything's going to last. Not everything's going to survive. But it's important to maintain the events we have that are important to us, and as far as businesses, it's important for them to continue to grow and thrive.
On to the next question, and Doug will go first. Our previous federal administration in Washington dropped millions of illegal immigrants into cities and towns across our country. What would be your reaction if a future administration went back to that policy and dropped 1,000 illegal immigrants into Grand Rapids?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the premise of the wording of that question, but if that were to happen, you know, you're talking two different things. As council people, I don't know that we would have much to say about the policy. But from a practical stance, if that was going to happen, you know, if you really want to ask, well, you know, it's kind of a hypothetical situation, but if it were to happen, my top priorities would be, you know, I'm guessing there's going to be kids involved, there's going to be children. So the safety and the immediate safety and welfare of these people would be my immediate concern. You know, these people were dropped in these cities, unknowing to them what was going to happen or what was even going on. So I think the immediate needs to be taken care of. You know, where are they going to stay? Who's going to feed them? You know, who's going to shelter them? Where are they going to get, you know, adequate food and water? And you'd have to be concerned about the safety of the community as well. So those would be the immediate practical concerns. You know, as far as policy concerns, I don't think that's something that the village council is would have a big say in.
You know, I'd like to comment on it. We're a population of 960 residents. We've been a population of 960 residents for 40 years. We're not growing, we're not shrinking. We have 92% occupancy in our housing. You can't drop 1,000 people in here. It'd be hard to drop 10 people in here. We don't have the infrastructure for it. We don't have the land. We don't have the housing. It's definitely a political question. I don't think it's the right question. What I would rather you guys ask about is what are we doing with our money? What are we doing with the $5 million that we give the council every year? How is it being invested? What are you doing with my money long term? What's the reinvestment program? What does the revitalization of the downtown look like? Are you going to do marketing, signage, benches? Are we going to revitalize the canal? Those are the questions that we can impact on your council. Not whether someone drops 1,000 people that don't exist into a community that 1,000 people won't fit.
Yeah, like those said, I don't think, from a practical standpoint, I don't think, we definitely do not have the resources or the money and financial backing to be able to support that kind of influx of population. I don't really necessarily think that something's going to happen in the near future. But I think that's something that you have to take up with the state governments, federal government, and approach it from that standpoint rather than the locals. I understand that it would be a situation that would really stress our resources, stress our finances. So I wouldn't support something like that happening, but hopefully we don't have to worry about that in the near future. So.
Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I really don't think it's a practical question for our situation. A lot of these towns and cities, the bigger ones, that do have that issue, they don't have the money either to support that many or tens and 20s of thousands of people that are coming in. With the healthcare, the education, the government programs that these people need. You know, you can agree or disagree with the previous administration, but that was a hot topic, probably the hottest topic of the past 4 years.
move on to the last question from the audience, starting with you, Lynn. How do you plan to get people to visit our town and to build our community?
So my platform for 4 years has been, let's do a vision statement. Let's do a needs assessment to say, community, what's important to you? And then let's write a strategy. Strategies are often called revitalization programs today, but those elements are in place. For 4 years, I haven't been able to present it to the council, but I want to present it to you. There is a way for us to make this community stronger, for transparency. There is a strategy that I have a draft of that shows who we are today, what our financials are, what our demographics are. It has a mock assessment in there. I had a senior leader in the community take the assessment, and the things she said were important are the Grand Rapids government responsiveness, accountability and performance, preserving the historic buildings, and promoting the village of Grand Rapids. I think that's all relevant. When you have a strategy, you take a member of each one of the major organizations, so someone from the township, someone from the council, someone from the historic society, someone from the arts council, and you get them together as a collective, and you say, what are your goals, and how do we bring those together to make it the goals for the community? If we were all rowing in the same direction, we would get so much done here. But right now, everybody is operating as separate entities, and that's not the right way to run a village.
Any additions to that?
Yeah, I think it is important that local government work collaboratively with various organizations in town, various citizens groups, things like that, to promote the village, promote our businesses here, promote our tourism. We are a tourist town. Most of the people that come into town here are not local people. There are a lot of them that are outsiders that come here to spend a day here, walk along the towpath, visit the shops, visit the restaurants, talk with the locals, things like that. It's kind of nice to be able to walk down the towpath in the afternoon and meet people who are from town here, and they always comment of how great our town is, how inviting it is, how special it is, really. And I think it's important for local government to kind of keep that going by promoting the town, promoting what we have here. So.
And I know recently, council passed ordinance allowing them to give money to the Chamber of Commerce for, not the Chamber of Commerce, but for advertising. And I think advertising is a big way to go as well, to get the outside communities. And then we also have to make the town beautiful and make it a place to go. When these people come here, if they leave and say, wow, they tell their friends, they tell their family, their kids come back here in future generations. So we also need to keep it a beautiful village as well.
Yeah, what Pat was referring to, if you're not already aware, that there's an advertising campaign, targeted ads, TV ads that are going to be running soon. And that was a collaboration between the town council, the Historical Society, and the Chamber of Commerce, where they all put up a third of the money towards this advertising budget. So I like seeing that. I think that's a good collaboration, and if I'm elected to council, I would continue to try to foster that kind of collaboration between the entities, because nobody should have to go it alone. And when you all have when all these different organizations have a little bit of skin in the game, I think they might be more concerned about the outcomes and the effectiveness of these ads and doing similar things in the future.
Good. All right. Now we're going to go to some of our additional questions, and we are going to start with, we'll go with you, Doug, starting.
Okay.
And everybody will have a chance to comment. What do you think is the most underutilized strength of our village, and how would you build on it?
Most underutilized strength. Well, this is kind of personal to me. The first thing that pops into my head, and it's come up before and it'll probably come up again, was probably the canal. And I'm aware of that only because I've been part of the group that's been working on getting the canal cleaned up. And the more time you spend down there, the more ideas you have about, how it can be So, frankly, there's been discussions underway about creating a DORA in town and including part of the towpath. And I think that would be a great way to get people out on the towpath and that maybe wouldn't otherwise go out there. If this happens, one of the things I would like to lead is like a sunset gathering. Have any of you ever been on vacation anywhere, whether it's the beach, the ocean, the Gulf, the river, and the sunsets? You see people gather, it kind of becomes a thing. And, that's something I see happening and growing, and it's just something to get people out and about town. And that's one of the ideas I have to promote that, is just to, promote the gathering.
Go ahead, Pat, we're gonna go this way.
Oh, okay. I think the natural resources of the village, with the river and, as Doug mentioned, the canal, I think we're not utilizing the river at all, other than, people fishing and some kayaking. And thanks to, a couple people here, they've done a great job of cleaning up the canal, but maybe putting in some docks, bringing in some boaters into the area. But I think we really need to push the waterways here for some good growth.
I think some of the underutilized resources we have here in town are just like the young people. I think they're hungry to get involved, but like I said earlier, they just don't know where to turn and how to do it. I think we need to be proactive, maybe on the village website, putting things out there, who to contact for the various organizations. I'm not sure if that's on the village website or not, but I think the more people that we get involved in town here, like what Doug had mentioned, what Pat said about cleaning up the canal, things like that, it makes short work of a big project when we can do that. And I think the more people we get involved with the various organizations in town, with the town hall committee, with the chamber of commerce, the arts council, things like that, it just makes the town stronger. It makes everybody more close knit, and it helps everybody out in the long run.
So I would agree and say natural resources, history, and then I'll add on with Nate's on the youth, because I do think we're an aging community and all of our organizations are run by more senior people. It'd be nice to just have a infusion of younger people. But there's not a lot of communities that have a river running through it, and we have to take advantage of that. The fact we have a canal on top of that is phenomenal. Our kayaking experience out here is fantastic. We have both deep and shallow water here. I don't know where else I've been in the world traveling that I've been able to have that experience in a village of 1,000 people. Our natural resources are phenomenal and totally underutilized. And then the history. If you've ever been down to the library, we have a couple historical books, excuse me, floating around that have been written by, I think June Hoffman wrote one of them, but they're really great, and they're a great starting point. But you should see the amount of history we have down at that library that's not published anywhere. And if I was a good writer, I would take that on as a project, because I want to see the historical signs out in front of our buildings, like Perrysburg has. It says how many different merchants have been there, and did you know that we had an egg depot here at one time? Did you know that we had a funeral parlor in town? That's information that I think we need to be public about. But the history of this village, I think, is really underutilized.
Next question, Pat, we'll start with you. How would you work to involve more residents in village decisions and activities?
I would like to have quarterly, if not monthly, open houses like here at the fire station, at the library. Get their input, get what their pain points are, what are their concerns, and I'd like to get them more involved in that. Being more approachable. I've never had to approach the current council, but I've heard different stories where they're not very approachable, and that kind of turns people off. If they've got a concern or an idea they want to bring to council, they might be afraid that they're just going to get shot down. So that's another way, is being approachable and giving good reports, have quarterly reports that goes out to the community, via mail or online. Just giving them some more information so they can see what is going on and get them involved.
Nate?
Yeah, I think it's important to be out there, visible for the community, talking to people, to find out what their concerns are, what their interests are, what they'd like to see done with the village and done in the village. If you actually present yourself to where you can be approachable and people are willing to come up and talk to you, I think it's a great thing. I try to get out as much as I can, walk around town and stuff, and talk to some of the business owners, things like that, just to see what they're thinking, talk to various community members, villagers and stuff, to see what they'd like to see done. I'm pretty fortunate, I've got some good neighbors on both sides of me that I can kind of bounce things off of and hear what they'd like to see happen in town here, or what their concerns are. So, yeah, definitely get out and make yourself visible as a council person, and get input from what your constituents are thinking.
So I want an annual financial review in the town hall. I want all of you to understand our finances. It's very important to me. I want an annual needs assessment. I want to know what's important for you, for us to work on. If the sidewalks are important, tell us that. I've had council people say we don't need to do a needs assessment because you've already told them. But I don't think that's true, and I don't think it's representative of everything that's important. I want a compliance line, not only on the government, the council, but also on the employees that work for us. So if they're making your life more difficult, I would like you to be able to report it, for the council to be able to do something about their behavior. And I would like a strategy in place that is a collaborative event with multiple people from the community representing those areas of the community. This is not rocket science. People do this in many, many communities. We're just lacking. And we have a path to go forward, but we need to make some changes to our council.
So on a practical level, how do you increase accessibility? I think two things need to happen. For one thing, we need a bigger and better space for our council meetings. We recently had a meeting of the whole to discuss Fedora, and it was literally standing room only. People were standing out in the hall. So we need a better space when the people do want to show up so that they feel welcome and comfortable. And also, Heart of Grand Rapids has been doing, putting these meetings online has been great, but I think we need to take the next step, and the village needs to have its own professional system so that people can adequately see and hear what's going on at the meetings if they're not able to attend in person.
The next question. Nate, we'll start with you. What is your view on balancing historical preservation with new development?
I think you can absolutely do that. You can balance historical with the new development. You walk around town here, you see all the wonderful buildings that we have here, the historical buildings we have here, and you've got business owners that are coming into town now that are they're working on the Thurston building right now. I think if you get people involved and you have a direction that you want to go in, as far as preserving things like the canal, like the downtown business district, I think you can also look towards future development. What I'd like to see something done at the park across from the library, put in a new playground, equipment, maybe some shelter houses, so people in town have a place to go and hang out in the summertime with their kids, with their families, or when you bring people into town here as tourists, that they can also participate in utilizing those assets that we have here. It's important that we do maintain the historical structures and resources that we have here in town, like the mill across the river, collaborating with the park system, things like that, collaborating with the park system as far as keeping up with the canal, things like that. It's all important. So.
I lean way left or right, depending on the perspective, to historical preservation. I love the old stuff. However, and I bought many buildings in my lifetime, I fixed them all up. I tore down one building in my entire life, and it was in this village, and it used to be called the Shambles, and it was right next to Fernando's. And bought that building with my business partner. It was a blast going through it, but it was structurally terribly unsound, and there was no way to save it, and we tore it down. Now I let the Arts Council, use that as an art garden, a sculpture garden. And so it's a really interesting balance between historical preservation, which I didn't do, but took it down for reasonable reasons, and let the Arts Council develop it into something new and modern, which is fantastic. So there is a balance there, but I do lean on the side of preservation.
All right, the next question.
Oh, do we not just get to respond to that?
Oh, Doug, did I miss you?
Yeah.
Forget.
That's okay. No, I think, again, as a practical matter, the things the village can do to help, specifically the downtown area where most of the businesses are located, are the basic things, the streets, the sidewalks, the lighting, the cleanliness of it. That needs to be in place, so that visitors to these businesses feel welcome and feel safe. And as far as growth, I like what's happening out on Third Street, where they're building some new homes. And I know initially when that was announced, they were talking crazy numbers, like hundreds of new homes. I think that's too much, too fast. But I like the fact that they're starting out slow. They built 5 or 6 houses, and they're going to go around the corner, and there are more lots available. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. And I think that incremental growth is better than what some of the other, while they may be bigger than us, some of these small towns have built these huge subdivisions. And in some cases, it's fundamentally changed the fabric of the community. Now, people live there, will probably have on both sides of it. They can argue whether that was a plus or a minus. But I like to see the slow incremental growth. And again, I like to see the village concentrate on the infrastructure and the basic services. You go down some of these small towns and it just looks like nobody cares. Some of you have been around here long enough to remember when a good portion of these downtown storefronts were empty. Fortunately, that's not the case. But it's important to us to maintain the basic structure of the community to make it even possible for those stores to continue to stay open.
Now the next question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Lynn, how should the village approach safety concerns such as traffic, lighting, or emergency services?
Well, all of that needs to be part of our strategy. There is a committee out there for safety. It's only met twice in the last 4 years. I think that is neglect on our part as part of the council and the chairperson of that committee. I think that's neglect. I think there was some communication on golf carts over Apple Butter. They were not allowed, then they were allowed, but the communication was very poor on it. Safety, fundamentally, we have to have safety in a village. It's part of our responsibility. It's part of the deliverables from a council. I think Nate has a lot of experience with safety. Him and his wife do. I think there has to be a strategy around it for infrastructure. One of the things we asked for was get the sirens up and running. We don't have sirens to notify the residents of emergencies. I asked where the ground zero is, where we all meet in the event of a lockdown. What is the notification for lockdowns? What if there's an active shooter on site? There's all these events that occur in today's environment that we're unprepared for here because we don't have a strategy. We don't have a strategy on the flooding of the canal. The canal is all different heights. If we reinvested in that, made it all one height, we would reduce the amount of flooding. We wouldn't prevent it, but we would reduce the amount. All of that is part of a strategy, a larger, broader, holistic view of what to do with safety.
I think the current situation where we contract with the sheriff's department for our policing is a good idea. I don't think we need to go back to having our own police officer. We're fortunate enough that we live in a relatively safe community where incidents that we hear about a lot of other places don't seem to happen here. So I think the current situation is adequate for our safety and security.
I'd have to agree. I moved from Toledo a year and a half ago, and I still get the reports from Toledo on my phone. Shootings all the time, all kinds of crime, and we just don't have that problem here. One of the suggestions or ideas that have been floated around was cutting off the traffic in the downtown area, and rerouting everything on 65. I don't think we need to do that full time, but maybe on weekends when we have a lot of people visiting. There's ample parking behind the buildings, but we could eliminate a lot of traffic where there's people walking across the street and through the stores if we shut off the road just on the weekends possibly for now, and maybe full time going forward to see how it goes. But I think we do an ample job right now of safety in this community. But as Lynn mentioned, I think there are several issues that her being on council knew about, with the sirens and the flood. We have no plans, and we really need to get those plans updated in place.
Yeah, we definitely need to do something about the potential for flood risk in the downtown area that affects the residents and businesses alike. I would like to work with state and federal agencies maybe to see if we can get some kind of funding in here to do that. I'm not asking that we change a lot of things, but perhaps building up certain areas along the canal where we can mitigate the flood risk. That if we do have something such as a nice jam again, where it flood, where it backs the water up and it's spilling into town, we need to mitigate that. As far as like policing, things like that, I'd like to see some increased sheriff's patrols, deputy patrols in town here throughout the day. I see them in the mornings a lot, I see them in the evenings, but I don't see them a whole lot during the day much in town here. Especially in the summertime when we've got a lot of people coming in through town, a lot of people passing through town on 65. I know a lot of times they come flying in on the east side of town along the river road, things like that, and they hit the gas or they head down town towards the campground, towards the state park. I think that we need to have the sheriff be a little bit more aware, the sheriff be a little more aware of where those incidents are happening, and maybe patrol those areas a little bit more in the summertime. So that's my thoughts on that.
Very good. Okay, the next question, Doug, you'll go first. What are your thoughts about adding any additional parking for apple butter in particular? $20 to park in any existing area seems to be extremely high, and where would this be located?
Well, I think there seems to be adequate parking. The problem looked like this year, there were people parking along the roads, and there didn't appear to be any enforcement of that. So that could have been dealt with. As far as the cost, now I'm not part of the planning committee for the apple butter. Yes, it does seem like a lot of money, but there are a lot of costs associated with this event, and those costs are only increasing every year. I don't have a problem with the people, private citizens opening their lots for parking. Some of them were charging the same amount, and I was okay with that. Maybe they felt they were gouging people by charging the same amount. And as far as long-term parking, I know there are plans in place to improve one of the lots back behind the old pharmacy. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And I think for the most part, parking is adequate. The streets get crowded sometimes, but I see that as a good problem to have.
If the village has any open land, where it's nice and flat, where they can make a good sized parking lot, I would say we should offer free parking, in those areas and have the shuttle services, come and go. As far as charging $20, that's a lot of money that they're not gonna spend downtown. I think that's way too high. But I would say, and I don't know the village's assets well enough. If we have spare land, I'm sure we do somewhere close. But I think the village could, open up some property as well for parking.
Yeah, like everyone else has said, I don't know what the agreement is between the shuttle bus companies and the festival committee as far as what they agree on as far as parking, but I do agree $20 for parking seems to be pretty excessive. I mean, if you go downtown to Huntington Center, if you're gonna park like right next to it, you're charged $20 for that. I understand that there's buses involved for shuttling, people into town for the Apple Bud Festival. I know there's costs involved with that. So that's something that the committee would probably have to get with the shuttle bus company to determine the price of what the parking would actually be. Like Pat said, I'm not sure what kind of land that the village owns right now as far as potential for putting in the parking area. But if that's possible, sure, I would say go with it.
So I'm concerned about the $20, but that's, Apple Butter's not my organization, but every time I hear $20, I think, holy cow, family afford $20 just to get here, then you're gonna spend $100+ on food. It becomes a really expensive event. We wanted it to be a community event. We're starting to price out our own people. I hadn't thought about it, Pat, about, if we had, land available. We do have 40 acres out there by Peggy. It's being farmed right now, but holy cow, his idea about it could be free and we just shuttle people in. I don't know how many people we get out there, but we get quite a few. It's a great idea, I think. I don't think we need additional parking downtown at this point. I think it could be improved, in certain areas, but it's not in the budget right now.
Okay, Pat, how can the council support both longtime residents and newcomers to everyone, so that everyone feels included in the community?
It's a good question, and I think it's an issue right now. Again, myself, only been here for a year and a half, I'm relatively a newcomer. I think just getting people involved, getting the new people to volunteer. I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting the other night, and one of the ideas was an app that people can see where do people need volunteers? Where do these businesses need volunteers? They can actually schedule the times that they plan on attending. But I think just getting the people involved, working with the understanding members of the community, and like someone mentioned, our community is getting older and older. We need to get some new blood actively involved, whether they want to join council eventually, but get them involved at least in some of these programs and volunteer some time.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been saying this since we've been here too much, is getting more people involved. It's time you're getting younger people involved. I like to see younger people running for council. Get some 30-year-olds, people that have experience. They're younger, but they're not. I'm only running for one term, so I want to try to stress that to get more people involved in running for council. It brings new ideas, it brings new perspectives. I think that's what small towns like ours need, to be honest with you. We need people that are willing to come into town and get on council that are willing to maintain the small town atmosphere that we have. And I think a lot of the young people move here because they're craving that. They're craving the small town lifestyle. I know with social media, things like that, people get, I think, bombarded from every direction with things, and I think there's a yearning for a simpler lifestyle, simplicity that we, as a small town, can offer. And I think that's a great thing. Get people involved, get younger people involved.
So I remember the app that Pat was talking about that showed a calendar for all the events. I think that's a fabulous idea. So there are people in the community that don't want to be involved. They just want to live their life and go to a restaurant and not be involved in politics. And there's a place for them here as well. But for those that want to be involved, we need to communicate better. We need to get information out. The current council will tell you all this information is available through a public records request. But I feel as council, we should be pushing the information to you. We should tell you our finances. We should tell you we have a sidewalk project. We should tell you that we want your opinion. We need to push information to you, not you solicit it from us. In regard to marrying both the more senior people and the younger people here, I really think it's part of the strategy. It's getting a representative from each of these communities to come together to say what's important for us. I think people will feel involved in this. Right now, everybody's isolated isolated into their own unique organization, this is the way to bring people together. Also doing a community survey once a year. Gives everybody that wants to participate an opportunity to voice your opinion. I think that's important.
Well, based on my recent experiences, I think things are going pretty well as far as people getting involved in the community. I'll just give you an example. I peeled apples for the first time this year because I was never able to before because of my work schedule. And there were many other first timers there as well. And frankly, I felt very welcome. For the most part, I find that people that have been running these long time events to be receptive to having new people involved. And as far as the council itself, I'm encouraged by the fact that there were 8, one time 9 of us running for 4 spots this year. There have been times in the past where there weren't enough people running to fill the available spots. So frankly, I think we're in a really good position right there. And I think the level of involvement for council, for example, has never been higher since I've lived here.
Next question. Nate, we'll start with you. What steps would you take to ensure the village remains financially stable and uses taxpayer money responsibly?
I think it's important for village council to invest the money that we have responsibly. Find out that maybe bring a financial advisor in and actually talk to the people on council to recommend where we would put our money to get the most bang for our buck. I'd like to collaborate with council members to put our balance sheet out on the village website where everybody can see it monthly, so they know what kind of expenditures that we're looking at each month, what our balance sheet is, when we've got money sitting, where we can move things if we have to move them, to properly get different things funded in town here,
So, can you phrase the question again?
Sure. What steps would you take to ensure the village remains financially stable and uses taxpayer money responsibly?
Yeah, the village has a lot of money. It's kind of funny when you see the numbers, because you go, wow, I thought we were broke. And we're not broke, but we're also not investing our money. So it goes back to let's do an annual financial review where you can ask every question about every line item on the budget. I think it's important for you to understand that's your money. I think it's important that we have a competitive bidding policy and process, one that's online so that you can see what we're bidding for. I think it's important that we train the people that are spending our money how to negotiate payment terms. Do you know that if I had $1 million project with you and she told me to pay net 0, that's what we pay, and we don't renegotiate those terms to hold on to our money longer, that's fiscally responsible for us to 1, competitively quote, 2, negotiate, and 3, get better payment terms. That's business. I think it's important for us to publish the bills. I get criticized all the time because I won't sign off on the bills monthly. The reason I won't do that is because we don't competitively quote. They spend your money without bidding. So let me give you an example. On the canal, which was supposed to be a project to take out dead trees and trees that were a safety issue, they ended up clear cutting the canal. That's a mistake. But they also came with a bid that I think it was $36,000, and I said, could you go get another bid? And he got it at, it was $3,000 left, whether he started at 36 or 33. He got it at one extra quote, it's got a 10% savings. We could do that every single one and save our tax dollars. That's very important to me. So I read off these bills because you don't get to see them. I want those bills published. Not only do I want those bills published, but those are the ones that we're paying by check. What about the ones that we're paying electronically? What about the overtime we pay for Chad to do something? I want to see that. I want you to see that.
Yeah, I think transparency is important, and anybody, not everybody's interested in seeing those numbers, but if they are, they should be readily available. And any long-term contracts or commitments should be reviewed on not annual, on a regular basis to make sure that we're getting the best deal for our money, and then there are better deals out there. I look at it as when I go out grocery shopping. It's maybe a poor analogy, but I don't like to pay full price for anything. I'm always looking for where I can save money. If I have to put a little more effort into that, so be it, you know. And that, there's the two schools of thought. Some people will just go down the aisles and grab whatever they need and pay the bill. Other people will compare from one store to the others. And we have people like that about the government. You know, some people couldn't care less. They're like, no, I pay my taxes, they take care of these things pretty decent, okay. You know, other people want to see every little thing, but the balance has to be somewhere in between. And the people that want that information, it should be readily available to them.
This question is the basis for my whole platform. I'm going to address it in full. Once we're done, we're going to get 5 minutes to speak. But over the past 6 years, we have lost $720,000 in interest because we did not invest. We have had $3 million to $5 million in the bank for the past 6 years, sitting at 0.25%. In those 6 years, and this does not include compounding interest, so the numbers are actually greater than this. But in the past 6 years, we could have earned, even at 4%, $768,000. Instead, we earned $48,000 over 6 years. That's $720,000. How many levies have we come to the public asking for more money? The pool levy is a perfect example. Had we had that extra $720,000 in the bank, we wouldn't need to come to the residents for more money. But I'll address this. I know my time's up. I'll address more of it as we go on here. But the water, we could lower our water rates. We have plenty of cash in the water account, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. We could pass on some of the savings to these residents. But I'll address more of it here at the end.
Thank you. Next question, Lynn, we'll start with you. How do you see the role of council in supporting youth and family activities in the village?
So part of that comes in the needs assessment, tell us what's important. One of the things I submitted was I wanted to put a hedge maze out there by the elementary school. I wanted a dog park. I wanted a community garden. I proposed a youth employment program. So one of my ideas is that we're 20 minutes from anywhere, and we all have children or grandchildren, and we want them to get the best education, but it's hard for them to get a job in town here. But if we had a youth employment program that was coupled with the things that we're trying to improve, they could be paired with a village employee or a contractor and learn some of the skilled trades. So they could learn electric, they could learn plumbing, they could learn landscaping. We do two things. We start to improve our assets in town, and we educate our youth. So those are some of the ideas, but there's a lot of stuff I want to do with the kids in town, because I don't want them to have idle hands. We have a river here that's underutilized. I think they should be involved in that. I think we should be having fishing competitions here that should involve the entire community. I think if you look at our cardboard boat regatta, which is very, very popular in town, it's a combination of children and adults, and it's very popular.
Yeah. Doug?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was up next. Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How do you see the role of council in supporting youth and family activities in the village?
I see a council's role as more of a practical thing, in providing safe streets, a safe environment, recreational opportunities. Fortunately, we have a school system that's very highly thought of, so I think, education-wise, we're in a good space there. But I'm a person without children, so it's not a huge priority personally. And maybe that's important, maybe it's not, but that wouldn't be something that wouldn't be my area of expertise, frankly.
Lynn had some great points. Some of the same thoughts I had, but increase, improve the pool, maybe a splash pad, keeping these kids active year round. I ice fishing. There's so much opportunity here for these kids with the natural resources to get them involved, and I think we need to get them more involved with that. But yeah, Lynn pretty much brought up some of the ideas I would have had.
Yeah, develop our parks that we have here in town. If you drive around like Napoleon, where the other kids kingdom, playground area for the kids, do something maybe similar to that. Maybe not quite on that scale, but do something where you have a place where families can come and enjoy some outdoor recreation. Like Pat said, if the pool levy doesn't pass, maybe put a splash pad in, something that's a little bit more economically viable and doesn't cost quite so much to maintain. Build shelter houses at the park for people to come out and have picnics at, things like that in the summertime.
Another question came in, so there's a break in the action.
Angie, I'm sorry, could you clarify that last statement, please?
We just want to move to the 5 minutes so we can.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So now each of you will have 5 minutes to share your platform and plans for the next 4 years. After each statement, other candidates may ask one follow-up question. I'm going to limit you to 1 minute to ask the question, and then 1 minute for the person to respond who gave the 5-minute statement. Please make sure that you look at Diana as she gives you the 1 minute warning. If she doesn't see that you make eye contact with her, she will then insert the word time, okay? So Doug, we're gonna start with you. You have 5 minutes to share your platform and plans for the next 4 years if elected.
Okay, so I've given this stuff a lot of thought, and none of these are big ticket items or big policy items as far as I'm concerned, but there's gonna be a certain learning curve involved with me being a first timer if I'm fortunate enough to be elected. So here's some of my small ideas. Number one, I'm in favor of DORA, and if it isn't already, there's talk going on now. If it isn't already in place, that's something that would be a huge priority of mine. Number two, I'd like to increase recycling opportunities in the town, because the dumpsters are often full when people go up there to drop their things off. And I've been in touch with the people at the solid waste district, and I realize there are some limitations as to what they can do, but I have some ideas going forward, and if you're interested in hearing those, I'd be happy to discuss them more afterwards. Number three, I would like to see, we have like probably 4 different trash companies coming through town on various days, almost every day of the week, someone is having trash picked up from a different company. So I'm not proposing that the village take over that function, but I would like to invite the people from these various companies to come in and see if one of them is willing to negotiate a rate if they can get the majority of business in town. And I see the trash, more streamlined so that, most of it's getting picked up on one day. And overall, just like the last meeting, at this meeting, there's a lot of talk about what's wrong or what needs fixed. And I take a little more optimistic view of our current situation. I think the majority of the council members do a great job of looking after the needs of this community. I think the employees that work for the village do a great job of looking at the needs for this community, and they're very responsive anytime I've ever approached them with any concerns. But as voters, you have a very fundamental choice to make, because there are several incumbents running, and you can either vote for some or all of them, or you can vote for an entirely new slate. So where are your priorities as voters, and which direction do you want to see this village go? Do you want us to continue generally on the path we're on, or do we need a huge shake-up? There's guaranteed to be at least one person on council for sure, and maybe more than one. I look forward to serving with whoever is elected if I'm fortunate enough to become part of the team. But I have existing relationships with some of the council members as it is, and I would look forward to joining the team and collaborating with them on moving this town forward. Thank you.
Does anyone have? Go ahead, Lynn.
So
1
do your
minute.
existing relationships with council, members mean that you won't be objective in your voting?
Not at all. I'm a pretty opinionated person, and I'm not shy of telling people, what I think and what I think is the best way going forward. So collaboration involves a little give and take. So no, I'm not going in blindly saying, yeah, I want to get in there so I can have your back and back all your ideas. I have ideas of my own. I'm sure some of those I'll support and some of them I won't. But no, I'm pretty good at keeping an open mind about things.
Mayor Pat, does the, okay. Pat, it's your turn, for 5 minutes.
I printed some handouts over there. I welcome all of you to take one home and go through it, read it, and share it. I'm also going to post this online for the folks that couldn't be here. But it's an outline to what I'd like to see done. I'm just going to kind of read it here and add to it. Focused on fiscal responsibility, smart growth, and community engagement. I want to establish publicly available, easy to read financial reports so residents can see exactly how tax dollars are spent and understand the village's financial health. I want to publish an annual financial report on the village website to help build trust, transparency, and accountability. When it comes to long-term financial planning, I want to create a long-term financial roadmap to fund future needs responsibly without overburdening the taxpayers. And I'd like to add a note here that I would work with Crystal to create an accurate appropriation schedule. Currently, we're only utilizing about 56 to 58% of what appropriations we're putting out there. 2022, they appropriated $5 million to be spent on different projects. They only used 2.8 million. 2023, they had 5.2 million, and they only used 3 million. This could be a couple different things: poor planning, failure to execute projects and services, simply asking for too much money, hiding something, or not doing their job. I don't think it's anything nefarious where anybody's trying to hide anything. I just don't think they're utilizing all their time and ability to get things passed. Develop a comprehensive asset inventory and management report, covering all village assets accurately, sell what we don't need, purchase what we do, share equipment with neighboring towns, identify cost-saving measures and maximize financial growth on investments to make the village funds work hard for taxpayers. I've already touched base with that as far as investing, even at a simple 4%, how much extra money we could add. We can't go back to the bank now 6 years later and say, hey, we could have had this, we could have had this. That money is gone and gone forever. But going forward, it needs to be done smarter. There's a couple other ones on here that, again, I'll post online. Working with the Chamber of Commerce, reevaluate business water billing policies to ensure fairness and sustainability, promote tourism, attract complementary businesses that enhance the village's historic family-friendly charm. An online bid process, I think Lynn touched on that. Contract negotiations. I'll sit in front of anybody and negotiate a price. I think our current council will try to reach out to 1, 2, 3 different people, and so many times in the meetings I've heard, well, we reached out to them, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. Go there, visit them. Go to their desk and say, hey, I want answers to this. Don't just wait for an email that might not ever come, and then you're settling for that one person that did. I want to meet with Chad quarterly for equipment and manpower needs. And I think this plan, if we have one business person on council, that'll help balance the talents of everybody else, and that's what I agree. And again, I encourage all you to take one on your way out, and I'll also post this online so everybody can see it. It's got my contact information, my email, my cell phone number, and I answer all calls, so feel free to reach out to me.
Any follow-up questions for Pat?
So I just want to follow up on the asset management list that you're talking about, so important. And it's so nice to hear Pat talk about financials and understanding the business aspect of the village. It's so refreshing. What you and your wife have done with the Kerr House is amazing. And yes, you've only been here a year and a half, but you've already put your footprint on this community in a historic building. People in the chamber were amazed at all the things that you guys have done. So that's really nice to hear. But the asset management, so important, Pat, and I hope you get an opportunity to do that.
And if elected, I want to physically see every asset we have and decide whether that's something we need, something we don't. How much land do we have that we could sell? What buildings do we have that aren't being used? What we're paying for? Heating and, I think we just need a smarter asset management, and that's what I'd like to bring. I saw your finger go up there for a minute.
My wife Christian and I moved here 2.5 years ago because of the small town charm and the kindness of its residents. I'm pretty sure we made the right decision. We're very happy with our current situation. I'm running for council to preserve the way of life that we have here in Grand Rapids while making targeted growth and ensuring that our town remains a source of pride for residents and people that come into town to visit alike. Some of my main initiatives that if I were elected, I would work to achieve would be fiscal responsibility. I pledge to manage the village finances carefully and look forward to how to responsibly invest, to maintain a strong balance sheet. I'd like to collaborate with current council members, and the current council members for the next council to ensure transparency by providing monthly public updates during meetings to actually show what our current finances are to our villages, share the balance sheet information on the village website so it's readily available to anybody at any time, and so they can see how our tax dollars are being utilized. As far as natural resources, I believe the plan needs to be implemented to maintain the canal and river basin, shore up the canal banks, make sure that we can build that up to, in the event that we do have another flooding situation, that we're ready for it. I believe the canal is a focal point for our village that makes a popular tourist destination for a lot of people that come into town. I'd like to work with council members from the community to see that any improvements are made with village input, the input of the citizens in town here, businesses, things like that. And it's done in a fiscally responsible way to help various community groups and organizations. Public safety is a big thing. It's a crucial part of maintaining quality of life for the residents in town here. I understand that there's been several instances where village residents have expressed concerns about traffic right-of-ways and speed limits within the village. I'm willing to work with the sheriff's department to see that policing is done properly, and I'd also like to see that the current proposals would be expedited to make changes to improve the safety of our residents as well as those who pass through our village, such as the stop sign potentially down at the bridge. I'd also like to get with the fire department also and see if there's anything that as a village, as a council, we can do to maybe help them. I know, I believe it's funded through township levies, things like that, but I know we have a good group of guys on the fire department here in town. I'd like to make sure that they are also equipped for what they need to help people. I was on the fire department for 20 years and EMS for 15 years in Nashua, and everybody at some point in their life is going to need somebody to come and help them. I hope it doesn't happen, but it usually does. And I'd like to make sure that these guys are equipped still and they have the proper equipment, proper education, proper training to do their job when the situation arises. Community revitalization is a big thing. I believe that a picturesque, inviting downtown area is important for it's important for a focal point to be to keep our village looking as good as it can and foster some community pride. I've driven to several small towns. I've been fortunate with my job and I'm able to get out to different parts of Ohio and see different small towns and what they have to offer. We've got a gem here. It's it's very inviting, it's very beautiful. I'd like to see, some possible beautification initiatives to help improve the appearance of downtown buildings. I think the plan in place should be to improve our village parks, to give residents of Grand Rapids and their families an inviting place to go spend time and hang out. Participate in various outdoor recreation activities.
Are there any follow-up questions?
It's a really good overview.
It's your turn.
Okay, well, I wish I was such a dynamic speaker that I could change your minds about who to vote for. I am not that speaker, so, I think this will probably fall on deaf ears. I have been a resident in the community and investor for a long time. I am passionate about what this community could be, how we could spend our money, how we can make it better, how we can be more collaborative. I don't think you can do it with the current members of the council that are running. I think you have to make some major changes. When I look at the history of voting in the village, the same people get elected over and over again. I'm concerned about you voting for the same people. The only reason I'm on council is I snuck in. On a year in which there wasn't enough people running, I got a seat. And for the last 4 years or 3.5 years, I thank you for that. What I want to do as a council person is the same thing I wanted 3.5 years ago. I want a vision statement. I want a needs assessment. I want a strategy that involves all of representatives from all of the major communities that comes together and says, how are we going to run this? And I would like, I want Pat's financial information, and I want Nate's social consciousness, all part of it. I think they're excellent candidates. There's not a conspiracy going on among anybody that I'm aware of. Matter of fact, David Fowler sent me a text yesterday about whether I should be running at all or not. It's not supportive, it's coaching. You guys, we can be so much better than what we are. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned that you didn't get upset when we paid Chad Hoffman $70,000 when the litigator said he wasn't entitled to it. I'm concerned that you've let John Berry spend $40,000 suing me on a piece of land that has been part of my homestead for 150 years. I'm concerned that you let John Berry give away land to Kevin Ullman without a question. I'm concerned that you let the council select people to represent you on the council, violating the rules of how that person gets selected. So you know if there's an empty seat on council, we publicize it to the community and say, who's interested? Every time we've done that, we've had people interested, and every time they let the 30 days expire, and then they pick the person they want. I'm concerned that that doesn't upset you. I'm concerned that you don't know what the financials are of this village. I'm concerned that Peggy C. Brand wants is probably the smartest candidate I've ever met since I've been here, and you didn't vote for her. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that our water bills are over there and can show you the rates that we're spending, and we can do better than that, as we can with our electricity, and nobody's holding the council accountable. I'm concerned that you think it's okay for a husband and wife team to manage that $5 million. I'm concerned that we have a grandfather and grandson running for council. I'm concerned that we have a brother and sister. We are a small community. You're going to have some relatives, but it should not be as prevalent as what it is. Hire the best people. Hire people with experience, not people that have sat in the same seat for 25 years and feel entitled. So my approach is the same. I'm known as being a pain in the behind. That is who I am. Says well-behaved women will never make history. That is me. I am not well-behaved. I am smart as hell and educated and passionate, and I will do what's right for this village. I have shown the entire 4 years vision, needs assessment, strategy. I'm consistent there. If you want me to represent you, I will with passion. If you don't want me, that's fine. Pick the best candidates. Don't pick the ones that have sat there the longest. Thank you.
Are there any follow-up questions for Lynn?
Not so much a question, but I like how you ended that, pick the best candidate. Don't go by who's got the most yard signs out there. I see a lot of duplicate signs all over the area. I only have a few. I don't think it's my place to come up to a stranger and ask if I can put a sign in his yard and they don't even know who I am or what I represent. Again, relatively new here, so I wouldn't go knocking on people's doors to put a sign up there. But again, I encourage you all to get out there and vote. Vote for your best candidate, and I think you've got some good options here at this table.
I didn't put any signs like that. To me,
No, I noticed
it
that.
looks like pollution, visual pollution,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's okay as people did.
I'd like to applaud the other three candidates for being here today. It's not easy running for council, put yourself out there. Invariably, you're gonna be a punching bag at some point to somebody, and that's okay. I've got broad shoulders, I can handle that. But I think we're all here for the same reason. We want to see our town be better and stay beautiful, stay a charm, a diamond in the rough per se, for the area that we're in. I feel strongly about that, and I feel strongly about getting people involved. And if you have any questions or concerns with the current council or with potential council members that we have up here today, I invite you to ask. I mean, no question is a dumb question. Just feel free to approach us at any time. The contact information is on my propaganda sheet here. And don't be afraid to call me or reach out to me in the street. That's perfectly fine.
I'd like to follow up a question from Pat, if that's okay. Concerning the signs, are you aware that people actually did that? That just, were looking to put up signs in random places? Because the only ones I placed were people that I knew personally and that were doing that as a show of support for my candidacy.
No, I just don't know enough people in town yet to put all my signs everywhere. And no, if you think signs are gonna get votes, put signs up. I'm not a big believer in signs, but yeah, I've got a few up here and there, but I just didn't know enough people yet to buy 100 signs and ask people to put them up.
No, wasn't sure if you were referring to someone specifically that was
No,
doing
no.
that, 'cause I wouldn't agree with that either.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, I just see a lot of multiple signs everywhere. It's not pointing out to anyone individually.
I've got 3 left. Maybe it works.
I got 15, and I've got 4 left, so. 5 left.
Well, I'd just like to thank all of you for your participation and your professionalism, and I also want to thank the audience for attending. I'm going to encourage the audience, if you did have any additional questions for any of the candidates, please ask. I mean, please, tell your family, tell your friends, and those who have concerns in the community to feel welcome to come to these candidates and get answers that they can give you. I'm very impressed. It's a good thing I'm not voting, or is it a bad thing I'm not voting? Thank you all. I appreciate it, and I'm sure that the people here also appreciate it. And I want to thank Teagan and Angie for all the work that they did behind the scenes. So have a great Saturday.
Thank you.
Tomorrow's going to rain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for those of you that took the time to attend.
You will know about the sign.